When I think of you, I think of time, not in hours or minutes, but in moments, in feelings that don't need a clock to be real. I kept you in every time zone, no matter where we were or where we seemed to be. Every morning started with you, even if the sun was still hiding on your side of the world. I felt your presence there, a soft whisper against my skin, the warmth of your voice brushing away the coldness of the distance. You became my rhythm when I woke, when I slept, when I dreamed in between. Your laughter danced in my ears like music, a melody that kept me awake, even when the hours stretched long between our calls. In the moments of silence, when the world seemed still, I still heard you. I carried your love with me through time zones, through day and night, believing that love, like time, never really ends. And when you told me that you missed me, I didn't need a clock to understand what you meant. Time hadn't separated us, it had only proven that we were made to meet. You were my sunrise on mornings that felt too early, my sunset when the day had been too long. The time between our meetings felt like eternity, but your words always made it feel like only a heartbeat had passed. I kept you in every time zone, whether I was waking up and you were still asleep, or you were working late and I was finally getting my rest. I knew we existed in the same space of longing, and that was enough. We never rushed time. We didn't need to. Every conversation we had was slow and intentional, like we were taking the time to savor every second, even though there were so many hours between us. Sometimes I'd close my eyes and imagine your face next to mine, your hand in mine, feeling the absence of you but never the absence of love. Time zones tried to divide us, but we refused to let them. We carved out moments in between, when the world felt too big to conquer. And in those moments we loved, we lived, we waited. Time wasn't something that separated us, it was something we used to find each other more deeply. I learned the language of patience, the kind that only time can teach. When I didn't see you, I kept you in my heart, locked away in the safe of my thoughts. Every time zone became a part of me. Your laughter at the start of my day, your voice as I drifted off to sleep. I made you part of the air I breathed, the spaces between my thoughts. And even though the world kept turning, kept pulling us in different directions, I found you in every corner, in every minute. Our love didn't depend on proximity. It didn't depend on a clock. It thrived in the quiet moments, in the spaces between time zones, where distance meant nothing, and our hearts could still reach each other. I knew the timing of your thoughts, the rhythm of your words, the cadence of your voice. We learned to communicate in a way that didn't need words. I could feel your presence when I woke, like the first breath of the day, a promise that even in different time zones, we were never truly apart. We were always waiting for the same sunrise. Some nights, when the world felt too far, I'd close my eyes and imagine the sound of your heart. I kept you in every time zone, and when I felt lost in the hours between us, I'd remember the way your voice anchored me, how it became my home no matter the hour. Time tried to steal us from each other, stretched out in different directions, but I held on to the parts of you that mattered. The late night conversations, the quiet exchanges before the world woke, the texts that crossed through the barriers of sleep. You were there, present in the spaces between the minutes, in the moments where time stood still, where distance didn't. And in those moments I realized that time wasn't the enemy. Time was our teacher. It showed me that love is more than just a meeting of clocks. It's the meeting of hearts, and no matter where the hands of time moved, we were always in sync. In every time zone you were always there, waiting for me just as I waited for you. I remember the days when the time difference seemed unbearable, the hours too long, the weight too heavy. But even in those moments I knew I had you. I knew I could reach across the miles and feel your love. You taught me to be patient, to hold on to what we had in spite of the time zones. We didn't need to be in the same place at the same time to be together. I held you in the spaces between the moments, in the seconds that felt like hours, in the hours that felt like days. And yet, when we spoke, when we shared our thoughts, it was as if we had been there all along. Time became a gift, a reminder of all the things we had already shared, and all the things we would still share. I held you in my heart in every time zone, knowing that someday the distance would be gone, and we would be able to live without the ticking of the clock dividing us. But until then, I would keep you close, in every moment, in every second, waiting for the day we would be in the same time zone forever. There was something beautiful in the waiting, in the uncertainty of time. It taught me that love isn't bound by proximity. It's bound by intention. I knew that every hour we spent apart brought us closer to the next moment we would share. Each time zone was a reminder of how far we had come, of the strength we had built in the spaces between us. We didn't just pass the time, we made it up. We turned the hours into memories, the minutes into promises. And when the world around us moved too quickly, we learned to slow down, to make every second count. You taught me that time doesn't wait for anyone, but love doesn't need to wait. Love moves at its own pace, its own rhythm, carving a path through the hours, through the time zones, until it finds its home. And I knew with every passing hour that my home was you. In every time zone I kept you close, kept you near, kept you with me. The distance between us wasn't just measured in miles. It was measured in the way our hearts beat, the way we missed each other. Time tried to pull us apart, tried to make us feel like we were too far. But we refused to let it win. I held on to you even when you were asleep, and I was awake, even when the sun was rising on your side of the world, and setting on mine. I kept you in every time zone, a piece of you living in every hour, and even when the world seemed too big, too vast, I knew that our love was bigger. It didn't need to fit into a single day, or a single time zone. It fit into every moment. It lived in the waiting, in the longing, in the knowing that one day we would share the same time. But until then, I would carry you in my heart, across every time zone, knowing that you were always with me, always waiting for me, just as I was waiting for you. I often wondered how we made it work, how we navigated time zones, as if they were nothing, as if distance didn't matter. But then I realized, it wasn't the time zones that held us apart. It was the moments, the ones we created. Every conversation was a thread that connected us. Every text a lifeline that kept us grounded. We learned to speak in time, to find each other even when the world was moving too fast. You became my constant in the chaos of time, the one thing I could rely on, even when everything else seemed uncertain. In every time zone, I found you, whether it was the early morning hours, when the world was still asleep, or the late night moments, when everything felt heavy. You were there. You were the calm in my storm, the constant in my chaos, and the love I kept in every time zone. The hours we spent apart taught me more about you than I could have learned in a lifetime spent together. In every time zone, I discovered the depths of your heart. In the late night calls, I found your vulnerability. In the early morning texts, I found your warmth. And in the moments between, I found your patience. You never rushed us. You never rushed time. And because of that, I learned that love isn't about waiting for the right moment. It's about making every moment the right one. You didn't just live in the time we spent together. You lived in every minute, in every hour that we spent apart. I kept you in every time zone, and in doing so, I realized that no matter where we were, no matter what time it was, you were always with me, and that in itself was enough.